Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Sonder Social. I'm Malika. I will be guiding you through this hour today. For those of you who don't know me, I am based out of California, currently in Northern California, and I'm really excited to walk you through your weekly setup. We have a lot of familiar names in the chat, so welcome back to those that are returning. But for those that are new, welcome to Sonder Socials. I'm so excited to have you here. If there's anyone that is new, please type in I'm new or this is my first social or whatever so we can acknowledge and welcome you. Raisa, welcome. And welcome to all the new folks who are new. And just before we get started, double check that your chat toggle is set to everyone. Sometimes Zoom auto defaults it to host and panelists, which only means myself or Jennifer will be able to see your messages. And that is the way we primarily interact with one another. And speaking of, I am joined by the one and the only Jen O. And she's dialing in from Texas. There she is. She's popping on to give you a big ol' wave, but she'll be there in the chat if you have any questions throughout this hour, and just making sure we are running smoothly. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so since we have a few new folks in here, I'll walk through the guidelines. So just as a reminder, to be kind and courteous to yourself and others, no promotions or spam, respect everyone's privacy, no hate speech or bullying, limit any repetitive product and accessory questions, redirect any customer care inquiries to our team, hello@silkensonder.com. And just remember that Sonder socials are a great way for us to connect with one another, and really get the most out of your journal. I think what ends up happening with these, especially with these weekly setup socials, there's so many ideas that people have to either repurpose a section or restructure it in a different way. And it's always fun to kind of switch it up and see what works best for your week, and really be inspired by the creativity in the group. So that is kind of the core focus for this social. And let's start off by talking about this month's theme of vitality. Um, so vitality is all about kind of energy and life and really the essence of truly feeling alive. And it can be physical, like strength or movement, or it could be emotional, like deep connection, or the excitement of new experiences as we go throughout our life, or it can even be mental, thinking about kind of what makes us curious, what is and kind of driving us to learn and grow as we navigate life. So really think about reflecting on what those moments of vitality are. Is it kind of being present, engaged, and being in tune of what makes you feel at most lively, and what's kind of that fire that fuels your passion, what makes you push through those challenges. So think about those as we dive into our mind map. So speaking of, we'll go through the agenda for this social is we're going to work on our vitality mind maps. So if you have been coming to the past weekly setups of this month, make sure to turn to your mind map. And if you haven't started it, you can definitely start it in this social. Then we'll move on to our rosebud thorn, and then we'll move on to our weekly setup pages. So for the vitality mind map, go ahead and grab your vitality mind map, and we will focus on week 3, which is the prompt reads, the feeling of vitality. How do I know when I'm full of vitality? Think of the body sensations, emotional, mental, social interactions, spiritual alignment. So I know I'm full of vitality when my body feels really strong and energized. And then I was kind of reflecting on this with Jen earlier, and she's also brought up a great point. Like, rest is really important as well. So when we think of vitality, maybe we always think of like being on the go, but sometimes it's those moments where we pause and really kind of reset and rest so that we can feel more energized and more alert when we are navigating our day to day. So rest is really important when we think about kind of filling up our battery a little bit. So thinking about what those are. Another thing that calls out for me is kind of planning those interactions with people in my life that kind of are deeply emotional. I think I have this thing where I feel like I really enjoy meaningful conversation with people that I really care about. And so incorporating those moments in my life and having that on the calendar so I have that looking forward to. I can look forward to it as I go through my week and going through my work week. So that is kind of how I reflected on this prompt. But I will give you all some time to fill out your week 3, how do I know when I am full of vitality? All right. Thank you all for reflecting on your mind map. And for those of you who wanted to fill out the other weeks and haven't already, feel free to screenshot this and you can always revisit this and complete your mind map after the social. Feel free to kind of do that if you'd like to, but don't feel pressured to fill it out either. It's truly just kind of a good way to kind of reflect on the theme a little bit. Okay. So now we'll move on to our rosebud thorn, which is on page 44 of our journals. And for folks who've never done a rosebud thorn, it's a great way to take inventory of the week, of your past week, and really reflect on your rose, which is something that's going well, a highlight, and then something that you are kind of grateful for. Your bud is your new and emerging opportunity, something new that's on the horizon. And then your thorn is a challenge or something that you've been struggling with. And yes, so I like to reflect on my rosebud thorn for the week. So last week, I finally was able to bring my car to San Francisco. So it's been really fun to have a car. I haven't really driven it very much except for the weekends, but just to know that I have the option of driving has been great. And then my bud is work. While it's been challenging, it's been really rewarding. I've been working on a project that I'm really excited about. I have a conference coming up in Austin, which I'm really looking forward to. So it's kind of picking up a little bit, but it's been very exciting and fun work. So I've been enjoying it. And then my thorn is I think a lot of questions have popped up in the chat. Has Maya had the baby? She has. And I have separation anxiety from my niece when I'm away from her, and I love her so much. So I try to spend my weekends with my new baby niece. So it's been really fun. But I get sad when I'm away from her. So with that, I'll give you all some time to fill out your rose, your bud, and your thorn. And feel free to share it in the chat if you feel inclined to do so. All right. Thank you all for sharing your rose, bud, and thorn. I think it's always important to recognize when we are feeling like our thorns are particularly challenging, especially, some thorns tend to be bigger on some weeks and it's really difficult to navigate. But it's also good to take inventory of what is particularly challenging so that we can kind of structure our week accordingly to make sure that we are kind of navigating through whatever we're going through. So just remember to give yourselves grace. Not everything is going to always be roses, but we will be able to kind of figure out how to push forward. So, with that, we will now move on to the weekly setup pages. So, go ahead and flip the page. And we will now start off with the box at the top of this week I want to feel. So here we have some examples. You can absolutely make it one word, but it can also be a phrase. And whatever it is, once you have it, write it down. Write it down in the chat, write it down on the page. Here are some words to help jog your ideas if you can't think of one. But go ahead and type it in the chat. And then I love to read out a few of them. Connected, energy, calm, cool, and collected, God's peace, healthy, loved, shiny, content, fulfilled and complete, like a ray of sunshine, vibrant, engaged, digitally clean and sober, rested, open. Wow, these are great, great, great words. Like I actually have my life together. I can relate to that, Courtney. Rested and relaxed, engaged, steady, productive, present, acceptance. These are all such great, great feelings. And it's really setting the intention of how your week is going to go. And it starts out with kind of how you want to feel. So thank you all for sharing measurable growth, accomplished, open-minded, lighthearted, alive. These are all fabulous words. So thank you for writing those down and sharing with us in the chat. We'll now move on to the weekly major 3 goals. So right below that box, we have the weekly major 3 goals. And this is a section where you can kind of set it up however you'd like to. So it could be any 3 goals you want to accomplish this week, but it could also be 3 goals that map to the feeling. Oh, I think we have a special guest joining us. One second. Here we go.
Hello.
Hi, look at who
Hi,
it
Sonder
is.
fam.
This is
Anaya.
a
This is
special
baby Anaya. She just got fed and now she's snuggling up.
The chat is going crazy.
I can't wait for her to be on one of these with me. I miss the Sonder fam dearly. Thank you all for just continuing to show up for you. I have many ideas of what new moms need. And if you're a new mom, and even if you're not a new mom, if you've ever been a mom, I now understand what you mean when you say it's really hard to find time for self-care. So yeah, so my self-care has been snuggling with this little one.
She's
And
almost a month
she's
old
almost a month old tomorrow.
tomorrow.
And some of you may have seen my message on Sonder Club. A month ago, had an emergency C-section. So everything went unaccording to plan, which I can't wait to share my experience on. But we made it. Both of us are safe. We're home. We're recovering. We're slash recovered. And we gave Anaya her first few baths. And it's just been the most delightful thing. She's definitely a water baby, despite not being a water sign. She's also a manifesting generator on the human design chart. And we found out today that her rising is a Libra. So she's an Aquarius
Libra
sun,
moon,
Libra moon,
rising
and rising Cancer. So if any of you know what that means, or maybe I'll ask Jenny and the personalized coaching plans to tell us what all of that means. But that's what this little nugget is. But yay! Sorry to interrupt. Where were you guys?
We're doing weekly major 3 goals.
My first goal is to get better sleep. My second goal is to actually fill out my March journal. And my third goal is
Fill out the baby book.
fill out the baby book. No, my third goal is I'm a little behind on my product planning for 2025, and I've made some promises to the Sonder fam, so I shall be making better progress on that. But I'm a projector, so you all know that when I commit to things, I go deep in it and I get it done. So I will be doing that. Yay, thank you. Maybe I'll come later, but I appreciate all of you Sonder fan members, and I want to read the chat, so make sure to send it to me later.
I will.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for that little interruption. Oh, yeah, sure.
Let's take a quick pic
Okay, how do I do
of
that?
Anaya's first Sonder Social.
Okay,
All
done.
right. Bye, everyone. I love you. My favorite Sonder fan.
All right. Well, thank you for that little interruption. We'll now transition back into major three goals. I'm so glad you're able to see the baby. And she is very, very cute. Oh my gosh, the chat is making me emotional. I know, I'm so excited that we got to, you're lucky you get to see the first Sonder social of hers. So you get to be a part of it. So I'm so happy you're all here. And yeah, okay, so how do we transition back? We are now working on our goals, so it can really be anything. It can be three goals that map to that feeling. And it could really be anything. Maybe there's certain things that you need to pay attention to this week, or busy moments are coming up and you just want to focus on a couple things that you want to make sure you get done. Those are the three major goals. So I'll give you all some time, and we will connect next for the to-do list. All right, we'll now move on to the weekly to-dos. So for this section, I'm going to walk you through a couple different ways of setting up the to-do list. Of course, it could be a bulleted list of things that you have to do, but we also have a couple different ways that you can structure this. So the first one is the Eisenhower matrix. So this is a great way to prioritize what's urgent, what's not urgent, what's important, what's not important. And you can kind of identify what you need to do, what decisions you need to make, what you can delegate, and what you need to kind of delete or remove to be your most productive self. So it's a great way to kind of structure your to-do list if you want to kind of use this kind of matrix format. Here we have another example on the right that's kind of a physical to do, a mental to do, an emotional to do. So that's a great way to set it up as well. Here are a couple different ideas as well. We have the need, want, hope to do list. So maybe you have like some things that you are on your wish list. Maybe there are things you need to get done. There's things that you maybe want to get done. So you can set it up that way so you know like what absolutely needs to get done and is critical, and then what is kind of less critical, but you'd like to kind of have in the back of your mind. You can also turn this into a not to-do list. So what are things that are that are distractors, that are pulling you away from your productivity? You can write that down and put that on the page and make sure you do your best to not do those things. So that is a great way to structure it too. You can also turn this into a bingo board. I know that's a common thing that people like to do at Sonder Fam. They like to make it more of like a game, and you can cross it off with markers or stickers, and it just makes it a little bit more visually fun. And then I also structure it in a way similar to this, where you have categories. So you can kind of structure your to-do list where it's categorized with like work to-dos or home to-dos or things you need to do for yourself, those types of things. So you can set it up that way as well. Yes, Courtney, can my new rose be? I saw the new baby. I'm dying. I love this chat right now. So yeah, I feel like you can set it up however you'd like to. These are just examples, so don't feel inclined to set it up any of these ways. You can also just make it a fun, checkbox, whatever works for you. So I'll give you all some time to set up your to-do list, and we will regroup for the habit and activity tracker next. All right. Thank you for setting up your to-do list. We will now move on to the habit and activity tracker. So go ahead and locate that at the bottom of the page. And we will now kind of talk through different ways you can set this up. So here are a couple different examples. And this can really be a set of habits that maybe you want to track from the past week. So maybe you want to carry over, or maybe you have a set of habits that you want to come up with that are specific to this week. So really think about what those habits are. Here you can see some examples show kind of like a night routine. So maybe you want to do a couple things before you go to bed, or maybe you can, on the flip side, you can set it up where you have a couple things you need to do before, like to start out your morning. So you can definitely structure it that way. You can also make these very much tied to health. So here you see an example of habit and activities that are related to weight, vitamins and meds, fruits and veggies, and alcohol, and making sure that they're on track with their physical health goals. And you can kind of see that they color coded it. They wrote some numbers so that it's kind of you can see the different metrics that are associated with each habit. So that's a great way to repurpose like kind of the circles. Usually I just cross them off. So you can definitely write in them. Feel free to do so. And then also you can choose to omit the goal or not. So sometimes I don't put a goal in, but sometimes it's great to have a goal if you want to really kind of strive towards something. So definitely feel free to include that. And then just remember that as you set up your habit and activity trackers, and you go throughout your week, it's okay if you don't fill out every bubble and if everything isn't checked off. Just remember that life is not linear, it's very much unexpected. So, there are going to be times where you're not going to be able to do every little thing, and that's okay. And it's important to give ourselves grace as we go throughout our week and our lives. So, just remember that as you're filling out your habit and activity tracker week to week. But just remember, this is a great place to try out a new habit. For me, something that I'm added to my week is my vitamin D intake. I'm really bad at taking my vitamin D supplement, and I know I'm deficient, so I need to be taking my vitamin D. So that is constantly going to go on my habit tracker, just as that extra reminder since I look at this page quite a bit. So I'll give you all some time and feel free to write in the chat what habits you're adding this week. All right. We'll now move on to the next section, which is the meal plan section. So, just a heads up, this next page are heavily repurposed sections. So, I'm going to walk you through a lot of different ways you can set these up. So, for the meal plan section, this is really up to you. It can definitely be a meal plan section if you want to use it that way, but it could also be a food log. It could be a place where you put your daily affirmations. It can be a place where you kind of want to put your say you want to have a big chore and you want to break it off. So like I love this example. She had to clean the house and she broke it out zone by zone. For each day she chose a different section to deep clean, and then you can also use this as like a wardrobe planner. You can use this as like a reflection area. You can use this for your appointments as you have upcoming appointments. So there's a lot of different things you can do. Jennifer just said she uses this as her spring cleaning for this section. I think that's a great idea. I know I have a lot of spring cleaning to do, so that's a great way to repurpose this as well. Ooh, I love this. Lisa says she uses this as a daily doodle. That's a great way a very fun and creative way to use this section. So really feel free to set this up however you'd like. So I'll give you all some time to set up your meal plan sections, and then we'll regroup for the mind body health plan next. All right, we'll now move on to the mind body health plan. So, this section is really your kind of I think of it as kind of like your treat, kind of like your treat that you're looking forward to each day as you go through your busy week. So think of what is going to fill your cup. We talked about vitality at the beginning of the social. So what's going to make you feel the most energized or kind of refueled? Maybe it is going to be doing a restful activity. Maybe it's doing something a little bit more physical. What is it for you? So, kind of come up with your plan that's going to get you through your week. So for me, oftentimes in my mind body health plan, I put a plan to go outside for a walk, or it's going to the sauna for 30 minutes, or maybe it's just kind of listening to some music and just kind of doing my own thing for a little bit, journaling or doing something creative. What is that kind of treat for myself? I really feel like it's a great way to kind of come up with your plan, that's going to be really your plan to guide you through those tough moments. So when things get overwhelming or challenging, maybe it's time to take that break and maybe it's time to do that activity so that you feel a little bit less stressed or less kind of overwhelmed. So think about what those little treats are for yourself, and write that down. And I love these examples here. I like this one that's kind of uses alliteration and has kind of a theme for each day. So this one on the upper left has motivation Monday, talk it out Tuesday, walking Wednesday, thoughtful Thursday, frustration free Friday, sassy Saturday, and self care Sunday. So there's a lot of different ways that you can set this up. I also like this one here. It reflects on the 7 types of rest, which is social, spiritual, mental, creative, emotional, sensory, and physical. So there's a lot of different ways that you can set this up. I'll give you all some time to set up your mind body health plan, and then we'll regroup for the shopping list next. All right. So now that you have your mind body health plan, we'll now move on to the last little section. Well, second to last little section on this page, which is the shopping list. So, for folks who have no shopping to do, we have a lot of different ways you can repurpose this. It's really a blank box. So, really, let your heart go wild with this one. I feel like this one is just really can be anything. But if you do have, you can always use this as a place if you do have some shopping that you need to do, grocery shopping, whatever it may be, you can put that in there. You can also turn this into a bingo board. You can use this, you can see some examples here. You can put your intentions here. Maybe it's not just that feeling, but you want to set some additional intentions for the week. You can put quotes in here. You can put stickers in here. I love to put quote stickers in this section sometimes or write out a quote. I like this idea of mini breaks at work. I think oftentimes we are just so focused on works to dos that sometimes we forget to take breaks. So, ideas for mini breaks at work is a great idea. Here we see an example of a calm scale where you can kind of fill it out each day. So, there's so many different ways that you can repurpose this section. So, I'll give you all some time to fill out your shopping list, and then we'll all work on our I am loving section together in a few minutes. All right. We're almost at the end of the hour, which means we have to fill out that last little box together, which is the I am loving section. So maybe sit back a little, and maybe even close your eyes and really think about what you are loving. I saw some folks in the chat who have already kind of identified what they're loving, but maybe if it's taking you some time, maybe close your eyes, think about kind of what it is, and then write it in the chat. Tell us what you are currently loving. As you can tell, I am loving being an auntie, and in my language, we call the mother's sister Mossy. So I am Molly Mossy, and I love it. I love having a little baby with me to nap on, and it's so fun. But drop it in the chat what you are currently loving. Let's see, we see love saving money. My husband is always there when she needs him. Amazing. Mattress and a day of rest. Jenny from coaching. I love that, Sierra. I'm so glad you're loving that. The strength I am feeling about my decisions, being a nana, my mornings on the front porch and quiet. My cousin's daughter went without oxygen support for 36 hours. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Congratulations. Being just loving rest, but especially when you're sick, yes. Upcoming vacation, gardening, lovely weather, sunlight after work, absolutely, Melody. I feel like having sun after work has been a life changer. It feels like it's so nice to have that additional time with the sun instead of it being so dark, and it's only going to get brighter and brighter later and later, so it's exciting. So thank you all so much for spending this hour with me. This was an extra special social, so I'm very excited that you were able to kind of spend this hour with me and with the new baby and meet her. And I'm so excited for our next social. So make sure to share your weekly pages with us. We love to see your examples. Make sure to send them in Sonder Club in the inspiration section. That's where we get all of this content, as you can see. So you all are such creative souls. So make sure to share your pages with us. And speaking of Jenny from coaching, this is our product. It's called, it's kind of the life coach product. And you can definitely feel free to check that out. Jen just dropped in some great resources to walk you through it. There's also a session that kind of walks through the product in detail, but it's really a great tool to supplement your day-to-day pen to paper journaling, and it's in your pocket. It's really curated. It's something that I really enjoy, and I love it. So I want to share it with you all as well. But thank you all so much for spending this hour with us. It was such a lovely delight to enjoy this kind of Sunday afternoon social. And I hope you have no Sunday scaries and you feel prepped and ready to go. So thank you all so much for this hour. I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.